and I like to try to find a better financing. At the moment, it's the interest rates are kind of high, so I like to free up some cash flow on them, and then possibly use that capital to branch off and get some more properties. So that's where I'm at
Okay.
right now.
Gotcha. No, I definitely appreciate that rundown. Interest rates, we got a quote today for 7% for our refinance that we're about to kick off for some multifamily units. So yeah, rates and looking at the yield and everything that's kind of in the data right now from a financing standpoint, it looks like rates are going to be continuing to kind of hover where they are right now or continue to go up. So that's something that we'll definitely be monitoring. But interest rates are important. And I think one of the aspects of that is being able to raise private capital, because one of the things that I found with private capital is a lot cheaper than dealing with the
Right.
banks and a lot more flexible at the same time. So definitely two of the big benefits with raising private capital, and you're able to give individuals a great opportunity to build wealth and get exposure to opportunities that they without you they would have never had the opportunity to invest in those type of deals to get those type of returns. All right, anybody else? I saw a couple people drop in the chat. Multifamily, looking to get into multifamily space, looking single family residence next 90 days. Okay. Miss Roberts, Jim, thank you. Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. Let me bring up the slides and we'll get going. And yeah. And so I'll kind of go through and when we get to the end, we'll have some opportunity for those that may have questions to kind of get your questions addressed. Definitely don't leave here if you came here tonight with any type of questions when it comes to real estate, personal growth, or anything in general. I'll do my best to get the answer. If I don't have it, I'm pretty sure I can find somebody that has the answer and we can follow back up with you.
J'étais pas pour vrai. C'est mes chers vendus. Alors que c'est dit ma
All
$30,000.
right.
Oh,
So
mon.
then we got one
Transmis bilamba super. Habillé montant à la bilamba
couple
moi.
hot mics. Make sure you're muted
Voilà.
as we get ready going. And boom. So, Millionaire Wealth Blueprint. Tonight, we're going to talk about real estate, passive income, financial freedom. All those things that really come when you come with investing. When you start talking about the intangibles and why we invest in real estate, why do we want to build wealth? That it all points back to what is your why? Why are you doing everything that it is you do? For me, it's family. It's time freedom to be able to have that extra time where I'm not trading my time for money, to be there present with my family, whether it's traveling, whether it's just sitting at home, whether it's coaching soccer, whatever it may be. But really going through the Millionaire Wealth Blueprint that I put together a few years ago based off my book that I wrote, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, what they forgot to teach you in school, and just my journey in making my first $1 million and building wealth in real estate. And from the other 30 some odd real estate investors that I was able to interview, and looking at the traits that these other individuals had, and really kind of the the totality of the conversations that I had, and kind of finding those tenets of wealth that high achieving individuals had, and really bringing that together. And so with this is not legal advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an SEC attorney for deals. You can lose money in real estate and real estate investing, but guess what? I'm gonna share with you the information that I have personally used in
What's
my
going
life,
on, family John?
and allow you to be able to be in a position where you can take that information and look at how you can apply to everything that you have going on in your wealth building journey, and hopefully glean something from it to make your success journey a little bit faster. For those who don't know me and haven't met me, Johnny Lyon, I'm coming to you by way of Alabama. Humble beginnings growing up there in Grove Hill, Alabama, and graduated from University of Alabama, and commissioned as a second lieutenant officer in the Air Force. Roll Tide. I am a husband, father of three, lieutenant colonel in Air Force right now. Less than 1 year left until retirement. I'm extremely blessed and looking forward to that. Investor and financial planner as well too. Been investing in real estate since 2006. I bought my first property in Warner Robins, Georgia, and since then we have been blessed to build a portfolio of 120 units and valued at $14 million with real estate. And the thing with it that they're sharing with you guys, it all starts with one deal. Like, it was nothing that I would have told you if you had met me when I was 21, or even if I was 30 years old, that I would write a book that we have 100+ units in my portfolio, and and be ranked number 5 Panama City's top multifamily buyers in 2020. With that, when we bought our first apartment complex and everything that comes with it. But I'm extremely passionate about financial literacy, real estate investing, teaching others how to build wealth, inspiring others to take action on their journey, on their dreams, and especially being able to pour that into the life of my family and friends, and being able to foster that growth and determination for others. And so that's what I'm all about in a nutshell. So with that, we're going to talk about a few things today about some of the challenges that we face across the board, not only just you, but just, us as Americans in general, why you need a financial plan, my millionaire success framework, some different investing strategies, examples of what execution looks like, and then an offer for those that's looking to have help along the way. So what is wealth? This guy here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is one of the great books that changed my life. It's not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. And that's the thing that we have to realize, that when you start looking at society and capitalism, like being a W-2 employee, like you're set up to lose. When you look at capitalism, the investor is the one who wins. If you look, going back 2016, 2017 timeframe, you look at where the stock market was. You look at the gains. I think the numbers well over 60, 70% for is the gains in the market. When you look at the wage growth may be 20%. And so when you start looking at, who's taxed first, where, as an employee, you are taxed before you even get your own check. They're pulling money out your check, paying the government before you even see it. On the other end, when you look at investors, they pay less in taxes. The capital gains rate is less normally than the normal wage earners rate. And guess what? Now with that, you're paying less in taxes, and you're not having to work as hard for your money, because guess what? Your money is working for you. And when you start looking at concepts with compounding interest and reinvesting returns, that this is how you build wealth and become successful. Because right now, when you look at it, the landscape of investing has changed. The Revenue Act of 1978, for those that don't know, it pretty much eliminated pensions. And this is, the rising of the 401k, which was never meant to be a sole retirement vehicle. But now it took the onus of saving for retirement and investing in one's retirement from corporations. And now it put that burden back in the lap of the employees. And so that was a huge change that a lot of people haven't necessarily changed their philosophy or their investment strategy to align with this in order to have the lifestyle that they want on the back end when they start looking at the retirement ages. One of the things that we have out here now with medicine, technology, we're all living longer. And so with that, now your retirement accounts, the money that you have, it has to go a long ways. And if you're not building up a nest egg, guess what? You're going to be working for a lot longer. Right now, there's a 23% chance if there's two individuals that's married and they're the age of 65, that one of them will live to be 93 years old. And so that's the thing that we have to realize, is like, how can we have our money working over a long period of time where we're not retiring at 65 for 2 or 3 years and blowing a lot of money. Then next thing you know, we're 70 years old and we're having to get back into the workforce. That's the last thing that we want to see happen. And so being able to take these strategies and concepts and put them in action at a young age, or where you are right now, and making up for less time and being a little bit more aggressive, is going to bode well long term. Asset allocations. When you start looking at Fidelity Investments, one of the things that they said, retirees, they need stocks for the long haul. They need to keep an exposure to the stock market. But guess what? We know the stock market is volatile. It goes up and down. And guess what? The last thing you need to be doing is, having a large exposure to stocks and trying to get more and more growth in equities when you're 75 years old, when you're having to depend on this. Because guess what? If there's a market correction and you're dependent on this money, and it's going to take 8 to 10 years for the correction to come back up and to build back those gains, then that's the last thing that you want to see happen. And so it bodes well for those who are able to diversify and have multiple streams of income where they're not extremely impacted by those perturbations that we have in the market. And when you see those wild swings of what goes on in the stock market. And here you just see the allocation for the annual portfolio returns over time, almost 100 years, that you see here just for a conservative approach, a little bit under 6%, having a balanced approach, a little bit under 8%. And you can see for its growth and then aggressive growth, what type of returns that you can see. But at the same time, you're seeing the inflation and healthcare costs as well are continuing to rise over time. And so you have to find a strategy that works for you that offsets those increased expenses as you continue to grow your nest egg and grow your investments. And inflation. This is a big one. We've been living with inflation for a long time, but especially the last few years that we have seen the tremendous or devastating impact of inflation on our money. So you can see here, 2%, the Federal Reserve has said their goal is to keep inflation at 2%. So guess what? Over a decade, 10 years, the dollar is going to be worth 20% less than it is today. Guess what? In 20 years, it's going to be 40% less. And so you can see today, looking at the mark, $50,000 with a 2% inflation rate in 25 years is only worth $30,000. When you look at 3% inflation, $23,000, and 4%, it takes that $50,000 down to $18,000 over 25 years. And we've all seen this. So we've seen this from gas, where you could buy a gallon of gas for 25 cents. You could get a Coke for a dime. And just it goes on, and just the impact that we've seen across the board in inflation. And over the last few years after COVID, that we've seen the extreme rise in groceries, fuel, and other everyday groceries and everyday costs or expenses that we have, that we've seen the impact of inflation regardless of what gets reported in the news. And, it capped at 9% that we can see everyday basis, where I was complaining a few weeks ago. I was like, hold on, I picked up a pack of turkey frank hot dogs and it was $8. I'm like, when did 8 hot dogs start costing $8? And so it's little things that we see around us with the cost of eggs and bread, but inflation is real, and we have to find a great hedge against inflation in order to keep our money growing, and guess what, and continue to have that spending power that we need with the money that we keep. Ukraine, Russia. There's no secret this war has been going on for multiple years. It provides a lot of uncertainty in everything that's going on, from all the world, the oil that Russia produces in the world, the grain that comes out of Ukraine, that its impact that has been felt across the board with countries, because there's so many exports that come out of these two countries that impact other nations. And so this is another variable, guess what, that we're not able to control. Israel, Hamas, Iran. A lot of turmoil that's going on in the Middle East. That right now we don't have troops on the ground, and it's one of the few times that we haven't had troops on the ground in the Middle East or been actively at war in a long time. And so, but this raises the question of what's next? What's going? Is this going to impact us? Is this going to spill over into America? Is this going to spill into our economy? We don't know. And the thing that we've realized is there are a lot of challenges at the political level, at the economic level, that we have zero control over, yet we have to maintain our financial plan and strategically position ourselves for long-term success. And then right now, so anybody know, you can come off mute, what the current U.S. debt total is right now?
35 trillion.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Yep, 35 trillion, almost 36 trillion. And it's amazing just the interest payments that we have to make as a nation right now. And guess what? The cost is going up. And we're going to see here over the next few years, as we look at the fiscal policy and looking to reduce taxes, or how we're going to be able to offset the government spending with lower tax revenue being generated. Something's going to have to give. And, and so that's something that we continue to pay attention to. But guess what? We have zero control over. And so the thing is really bringing these issues or challenges that we face as a nation and that we face in our economy every day with the decisions that we make on how do we have a holistic plan and view of everything that we're doing on a daily basis. And that's the reason why it's extremely important to have a financial plan that looks across the board. When we start talking about budgeting, talking about investments, your mortgages, your 401k, the taxes, because guess what? We talked about, it's not about what you make, it's about what you're able to keep. Expenses, your pension. For my military people, if you stay around 20 plus years, you get your pension that you can tap into immediately. You get your potentially your disability, depending on what's been going on with that. But guess what? You have stocks, bonds, you have your credit, your IRA. And so there's a lot of things that go into it. You should have an estate plan. Everyone here should have an estate plan if you own assets, especially if you have kids. You need to have an estate plan. You should have a will. You should have insurance, because guess what? If you're the primary breadwinner of your family, if something happens to you, what kind of condition are you leaving your family in? Will they be able to survive a year, 2 years, 5 years after you're gone? If not, then you probably should have insurance that can augment the income that you generate. And so things like this that a lot of times we take for granted, but we need to look at that holistic view of everything that we have going on and make sure we have a sound financial plan. And this financial plan just gives you a 360-degree view of your finances that encompasses all those things that I just named. And so here's a view to kind of go through, but this is something I took for granted, and just working and coaching with more clients, that I just want to make sure wherever every opportunity when I get in front of a group, to make sure that you all kind of think through some of these things, because we get busy in life and we get really focused on the day-to-day things, but a lot of times we don't pull back and look at our strategy and focus in on everything that's happening around us and making sure that we don't have any holes in our plan going forward. So now we're getting into the Millionaire Success Framework. So we kind of frame some of the challenges that we have going on in society and the economy around the globe. We agree that most of it we have zero control over, but how do we still build that Millionaire Success Framework? And going through, in the naming that I came up with my book with the Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, because way back then, growing up, that, hey, having $1 million in the bank, that was the goal. That was when you look at success, that's what it was, to hit that 1 million mark. But lo and behold, that's not the same as it was 20 years ago, that right now it doesn't go as far as it used to. When you start looking at expenses, you start looking at inflation, you start looking at everything that what it costs right now to buy a home. I know right now in the Washington, D.C. area that the average home price, if you have a yard, is easily $800,000. And so when you start looking at expenses across the board, taxes are going up, insurance is going up in multiple markets, that a lot of times now you need more discretionary income to have that same lifestyle that you would imagine you could have had 20 years ago with $1 million. But the goal with this is to give you that framework on how you can approach your life from a mindset perspective, all the way through the investing strategies that you have in order to build wealth. And so I talked a little bit about it up front with just my book, with being able to be the driving factor with this framework, and just, as I say, spreading the gospel and just letting people know how you can change your life and how you can reposition your life through real estate investing and taking these concepts that you can apply from day one. And that's what this is all about, changing lives through real estate. And the biggest thing is really understanding, breaking it down and keeping it simple, is there's 3 factors when you start looking at those that are successful. 1 is conviction, 2 is education, and then 3 is execution. So diving straight into conviction. A lot of people call it the big burning why, but having that strong desire on why you want to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. Why is it important for you to start investing? Why is it important for you to get up and go to work every day? Why is it important for you to be able to, retire early? Understanding, is it I want to go on vacations with my family, or I want to be able to give back to this charity. But you defining why it is that you're doing everything that you're doing, why you're showing up in your life, why are you going to the job that you hate? Why are you potentially looking at starting your own small business, and understanding the goals that you have set for yourself? And then what are those future stretch goals that you have identified? And at the end of the day, understanding why it is that you're doing what you're doing and having a purpose for your life. Because guess what? Adversity is coming. Whether you're living on purpose, whether you're trying to get to that next level, that there is adversity that's going to hit you dead in the face. And the more that you understand why it is that you're doing what you're doing, the better off you're going to be. Because guess what? If that adversity and that fear is bigger than your why, then it'll stop you every time. And that's why we see so many people who aren't successful and not operating at their full potential, because their fear and that adversity and what potentially could happen to them is bigger than the reason and the why that they have to motivate them to get to that next level. And so that's one of the things that I want you guys to kind of dig in on is that conviction. The education component, live mentor, man, like the thing that I would tell anybody, the cheat code when it comes to life and getting anything that it is that you want to achieve is having someone that's already been there, done that has that experience, that has that gray hair that's been there before. And one of the proverbs, I don't know if it's a Chinese proverb or who said it, but guess what? If you want to know what lies on the road ahead, talk to someone coming back. I'll say it again. If you want to know what lies on the road in front of you, ahead of you, talk to someone that's coming back down that same road. And that's all a mentor is. It's someone that's experienced, someone that has that's been where you want to go, that now can give you that wisdom. Because guess what? Wisdom comes from learning from other people's mistakes without you having to repeat those mistakes. If I can talk to someone that has 20, 30 years of experience and they can break it down into a 2-hour conversation or over 6 months with coaching sessions or reading their book about their life, and I can gain all that wisdom, now I don't have to spend 20, 30 years making those same mistakes or trying to figure that all out by myself. So that's why I love books, podcasts, YouTube, where you can dig in, and now you can go on YouTube and watch the stories of billionaires, millionaires that's being interviewed, that's giving you tips. The same thing, how I sat down with 30 plus real estate investors that were successful and compiled all of their tips on their strategies on how they got where they are in life, what are they looking to do, how they overcame adversity, going to live events. This is one thing that I've learned over the years and I live by. I went to FinCon, which is like the annual financial creators conference in Atlanta, military influencer conference. We're looking to launch Line of Capital next year. So one of the events that we look at is Fund Launch Live for fund managers that are launching private equity funds. And so I encourage you, get in the room with the people that are doing whatever it is that you're doing. Don't be the Lone Ranger out here lonely, making all these mistakes, blowing all your money because you got the wrong contractor, you paid them ahead of time, or you didn't know how to read a statement of work, and now they beat you out your money. Like, find people that have done what it is that you're doing, that have the experience, that can give you referrals to set you up for success. And so you can find these people at live events, meetups like we have here tonight, in-person meetups. I know we're having our first meetup the 21st in person out of Leesburg, Virginia, for those that are in the DMV. We're having our first one here. It's been a few months since we had a live event. But get out and find your tribe, find those individuals that are serious about building wealth, that are serious about real estate investing, that are serious about whatever you're passionate about, and get out there and find them. Because life is too short to be out here going through it by yourself, trying to struggle and figure it out. And then lastly, execution. Education without execution is just entertainment. You got to create the habits. You got to show up consistently and do those things that are going to move the needle in your life and set you up for success, whatever it is that you're looking to do. And so understanding that your schedule, that I can tell everything that it is about an individual by looking at your schedule. Because guess what? If you don't have time for the gym, you don't have time for your spouse, you don't have time for your children, then it's probably not a priority. It's probably not important to you. And so that's the thing, that a lot of times we know we should be doing things, but guess what? We don't make the time for it on our schedule, or our schedule doesn't always reflect the priorities that we say that we have. That a lot of times we say, hey, that we're doing all this for our family and the sacrifices we make for our family, but at the same time, we're neglecting our family. And so the thing that you definitely have to do is have a bottoms-up view of your schedule and everything that it is that you're doing, and be ready to embrace that adversity. Because as you're executing, you're going to have adversity that's going to come up. You're going to lose loved ones. I lost my mom in the middle of writing that book, going through life. I lost my brother last week, and going through that whole process, that it just changes you and it gives you a whole new fervor for life and just how precious it is. And it for me, it just drives you to continue to be great and focus on your greatness, because guess what? Life is short. None of us are guaranteed to see tomorrow. None of us are guaranteed to see tonight. And so the thing is, if it's serious, if we're really honed in on our why, and if it's really that serious to us, then we can't put it off to tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised. And especially if we have other individuals that's depending on us, then shame on us if we're not managing our time and we're not doing the things that we need to be doing in order to execute like we know we should be executing. Success formula. So wrap all that up. Information plus the actions that you take once you get the information times the repetition, showing up consistently and executing. That is how you achieve your millionaire success in anything in life. Not just real estate. And, specifically for me, it's been real estate, but I'll tell you that just being able to approach that in sports or anything or any aspect of life is going to set you up for long-term success, because guess what? Most people won't show up. Most people aren't going to practice. Most people aren't going to be consistent on a daily basis. And those that are great and those that find success in life, they just tend to not quit. They just continue to show up. And then next thing you know, you get really, really good at it. And everybody else is behind you because they stop. And so that's the thing that I challenge you. If you're looking for success in anything that is you're doing, continue to focus in on getting smarter and smarter and getting the information, taking action on what you learn, and then just continue to execute on a daily basis. I constantly talk to individuals, especially here the last couple of years, when we start talking about real estate deals, especially on the multifamily side of things, that, easily people are underwriting 100 deals before they can get one deal under contract. And a lot of people that I've heard is even more. And so the thing is, you have to build up that resiliency, that adversity is coming up with submitting offers and not having your offer accepted, or deals not penciling out because they want too much. And it comes with the territory, but you have to have that resolve and continue to move forward. So what do the wealthy invest in? I always kind of get that question, and a lot of times people think that it's a lot of secret squirrel stuff, which when you start looking at it, there are a few things that the non-accredited investors don't really get access to a lot of times. But at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. You got stocks, you got real estate, you got private equity firms that are out there, that a lot of times they're limited to only accredited investors and the hedge funds. And then also you got the alternative investments. But now with a lot of the crowdfunding, you have access to individuals who are non-accredited. You can have access to a lot of these vehicles now, as well as when you look at the Reg D funds as well too, where you can invest with as little as $500. As long as it's not over a certain amount of your annual income, you can invest in these vehicles. And so the thing is now is really, how do you, on an individual scale, find the best real estate investing strategy for you when it comes to at the end of the day? And I say real estate because guess what? Americans voted real estate as the best long-term investment, according to the latest Gallup poll. When you look back, that real estate has been on top of the poll every year since 2014, being out stocks, mutual funds, gold, and savings accounts or CDs. And here are the statistics when you're looking at it. Real estate came in at 34%, with gold as 26%. It's kind of the best long-term investment in 2023. For those that don't know, real estate is one of the great hedges against inflation. And when you look at all of the stimulus money that came out after COVID, that was printed out by the government, everybody got, with kids, you got at least $7,000, from the government. All this money that flooded the economy. Guess what? All the hedge funds, guess what? They started buying single family. They started buying real estate because guess what? Real estate is always a hedge to inflation. And what did we, lo and behold, over the last 4 years, in a lot of the parts of the country, real estate is appreciated over 40%. And so the thing is, you got to look at how can you own these assets and get into real estate and understand, do you want to be an active investor or do you want to be a passive investor? And what does that look like when you start looking to and taking account for your risk profile and your risk tolerance? Because the thing is, you want to be able to invest in real estate, but you still want to be able to sleep at night. Because I'll tell you that there are some deals out there that would keep you up at night. And if you're not built for that, then you probably shouldn't be investing in those type of deals. But that comes with knowledge and having the right information where you can make an informed decision. So we know real estate is voted on and highly touted by the American public. And we've seen it. 90% of all millionaires became so through owning real estate. Andrew Carnegie. And that holds true today, that you have a lot of millionaires. And when you look at the data, a lot of them still own their wealth in real estate. And you can see here the top 1% that, you know, they have a lot of stocks and mutual fund shares, but then also right there behind it is real estate. And the same thing goes for the top 20% that you see here. They own even more real estate, then followed by stocks, mutual funds, retirement accounts, private businesses, and other assets. And you can see here the fourth 20% that's still real estate. And so the thing is like, okay, how do we get that exposure to real estate? We already see what the wealthy are investing in. So how do we get a piece of it? How do we position ourselves based off where we are right now in order to take advantage of real estate investing? And at the same time, it's like, okay, everybody's investing in real estate, but why? What are the benefits of having a rental portfolio and scaling it over time where you have more than just one rental property and doing that? So we'll talk about that. But I'm extremely bullish on rental real estate for a few reasons. One, right now, if you look at where we are as a country, existing single family homes for sale, that it's at one of the lowest levels. We're seeing inventory continue to rise in certain areas, especially in the Sun Belt where construction has been going on. When you start thinking about the Dallas-Fort Worth areas, really across Texas, Florida, Atlanta, some of those areas. But also, construction has slowed down, especially since 2022 when interest rates starting to creep up, that we have seen construction slow down. And guess what? Millennials are in their family forming ages right now. They're looking for starter homes, and there aren't a lot of them being built. And so that's the thing that provides where right now we're going to be in a high interest rate environment for a while, which bodes well for landlords because more and more people aren't looking to own single family homes because they can't afford them. It's like, if you think about it, the average right now single family home price is a little bit over $400,000. And if you're coming in and you're using, you know, if you're only putting 3.5% down or 5% down for conventional, that you need to be making easily $90,000 to $100,000 a year after you pay your taxes in order to be able to afford that mortgage payment, taxes, and insurance. And so right now, affordability is at an all-time low, just based off where prices are. Income needed to buy median house value. We just talked about that. That I said I was low, you know, 80, 90,000, but right here, you know, the data is saying that it's approaching $120,000 right now for the median home value based off income. And you can see right about 2020 and COVID is where the home price started outpacing the income needed, where right now they were in parity or a little bit above 60,000. But if you look at it, in less than 4 years, the household income needed to buy the median house in the United States has doubled. It's nearly doubled from a little bit above 60,000 here in 20 all the way to nearly 120,000 in less than 4 years. And so that's the thing that we have. We have an affordability problem. And until this line comes back down here and it gets closer here, closer to where wages are, that's when affordability is going to happen. And so right now we're positioning ourselves where we can take advantage of the opportunity by owning real estate, by buying properties from landlords that haven't kept up with maintenance, that haven't kept up with market rent, where we can come in and buy at a discount, buy with equity from day one, buying pennies on the dollar, make the renovations, refinance it, even at a 7% rate or an 8% rate, and still cash flow. And guess what? When rates continue to come down and we refinance 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and continue to bring in even more cash flow at that point. And so that's the thing that I like to challenge people, because it doesn't matter what the interest rate is, because it's still just a math problem. At the end of the day, if the interest rates are higher, guess what? You need your purchase price is going to be cheaper. And guess what? There's going to be less deals, but guess what? There's also going to be less competition. And so that's where the opportunities are with real estate investing. Existing housing units relative to population demand in the U.S. So you can see the deficit right now, we're short. In 2022, we were short a little bit over 3 million homes this is across America. So of course, real estate is local, but overall there's a deficit of homes that need to be built. And we're not building right now to keep up with demand. So all this bodes well for landlords. But one of the things that you get when you start looking at scaling your portfolio, you get increased cash flow, which guess what? Now that brings in higher income potential, economies of scale, where if you have one vacancy with one unit, now you go from 100% to 0% occupancy, all your cash flow goes away. But if you got 10 single families or you got a 10 unit and you're getting $1,000 a month and one person leaves, guess what? You're still 90% occupied. You still can cover all your expenses. You're still getting cash flow. And guess what? Now you still can lean on that as you're turning the unit over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And so that's one of the things that it gives you with increased cash flow, but it allows you to be able to weather those storms when you have vacancies here and there, versus just having one unit or scaling up extremely slow, that it increases your risk in between tenants. Equity growth, you got property appreciation. We talked about that just over time. And I'm gonna show you an example with our first multifamily that we bought and just the appreciation that we saw in 2 years from buying in 2020 and then refinancing in 2022. And just the ability to leverage and what being able to leverage and then make reinvestments. And now you get that compound interest and really infinite returns when you start talking about being able to refinance, pull out hundreds of thousands of dollars tax-free, then look at re-leveraging that capital with buying other real estate assets and just continue to scale up over time. Whereas you do this 2 or 3 times over a 3-5 year period and you're good. And now you just manage the portfolio that you have and you don't even have to make additional investments if you don't want to, depending on your lifestyle. And this appreciation impact here, you look at, hey, buying a property for $1 million in 2024 and long-term appreciation 2029 over 5 years, that you're going to see that appreciation of 5% and what that looks like. Diversification, that now you have risk mitigation and income stability, where now you're looking at, single property in one state. I seen this firsthand living in Panama City when Hurricane Michael came through in 2018 and just saw the impact of investors who weren't diversified, where all their assets were in Panama City. And all of them went from cash flow and had rentals, tenants in place, to now potentially being damaged, wiped out, all their rental income going away because their homes were damaged by storms. For those that had like mobile home parks, a lot of them weren't insured. And so things like that you have to look at is like, how can I diversify my portfolio when you're thinking about stocks and bonds and diversifying into real estate, but also being diversified geographically from having real estate in different areas where you can reduce your risk profile from maybe hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, that now you can take those things into account with how you're building out your portfolio and where you're deciding to own these properties. And then number 4, stability through multiple income streams, having that consistent cash flow and that economic resilience, where you're able to weather those vacancies and those kind of perturbations when you have a maintenance request at one unit that is not that major impact because you have more than enough income coming in because you bought right and you have multiple units and everybody's not moving out all at one time. And it just allows you to continue to maintain that economic resilience across your portfolio. So for those that aren't experienced, I did just want to kind of talk through some of the different strategies. And, and so one of the things we kind of dive deep, we can't go deep tonight in these, but I do want to kind of give people options to kind of understand what works for you. Because one of the things that as I kind of coach clients, that a lot of times they tried wholesaling, they tried flipping, and they tried buying notes. They tried, just kind of going through and doing short-term rentals. But the thing is, you have to make sure that the investment strategy that you have aligns with, one, the time that you have dedicated in your current lifestyle, but then also the resources that you have at your disposal. So understanding what's the time commitment to be a flipper is completely different than the time commitment to be a wholesaler or a long-term rental owner that has a third-party property management managing the day-to-day. So those are 2 different strategies that require 2 different skill sets and a different amount of time in order to execute. So fix and flip strategy is a great one. You buy a home that needs renovations and you make the improvements and then you put it back on the market and you sell it to a family or a residential buyer, or it could be another investor that wants to buy that asset and rent it out. But the thing is, you're buying low, you're making renovations, and then you have a spread of profit in there by you buying right when you sell it on the retail market. This strategy works great in a seller market. Right now, we're not in a seller market. In most areas, across the Northeast, there is extremely a lower amount of inventory. So you're seeing a lot. The prices are continuing to go up on the Northeast and some other areas. So you want to look at your area and kind of understand the market. But right now, in certain areas with Florida and Texas, where you have a lot of new construction, there's more inventory coming online. That flippers are seeing the days on market for them to sell their homes are taking a little bit longer. So you definitely want to have that in account and looking at your strategy and just understanding how much cash reserves you need and things of that nature. Another strategy, wholesaling. Well, actually, I'll go back. I'll pause. Anybody have any fix and flip questions? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, Veronica?
How you doing?
Good.
You know what I want to ask you about fix and flip? I want to ask you, how do you, okay, say I see, let's say, I'm gonna say an abandoned building. It's pretty beat up. How do you analyze that deal to know by looking at it, or how do you analyze that deal to know if it's profitable for you? How do you analyze the deal?
Yeah, no, great question. So you want, the big thing that you want to find those comparable sales or comps, as they're referred to. And so finding other similar buildings. So we're going to talk about a single family house that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that's 1,200 square foot. It's been vacant. Grass has grown up. The roof looks like it's caving in. The windows boarded up. So now within a 2-mile radius, we want to find every 1,200 square foot to 15, well, we would say every 1,000 square foot to 1,500 square foot home that has sold within the last 6 months, that has been renovated or flipped. And so now that's going to provide us a baseline of what those homes that kind of within that 200, give or take, smaller, or 200 square feet larger, we'll find what those homes sold for. And now we can find that price per square foot. And that's going to give us a rough estimate of what our home would sell for. And at the same time, we want to look at what were the amenities that those properties had, how many bathrooms they had. Did they have marble countertops? Did they have white shaker cabinets? Maybe they had old hardwood cabinets that were painted over and they just updated the hardware, or maybe they just refinished the floors, or maybe they put vinyl plank flooring in, or new hardwood, or maybe just carpet. So you just want to see what the finishes were in those homes. So now you want to make your home kind of similar to those homes, or maybe a little bit better than those homes in that area when you're doing your renovations. So now you can cost out the renovations to renovate to that level that's expected in that neighborhood. And now when you multiply that to say, hey, that everything around me that was fixed up sold for $100 a square foot, my home's 1,200 square foot, so I would look to sell my home for probably $120,000. Just $100 times the 1,200 square feet to kind of give you that estimate of where your after repair value would be. So say, hey, if you got to put $40,000 of renovations in it, then guess what? The most that you're going to be able to pay for that house in its current condition is going to probably be around $50,000 or a little bit less.
So, okay. So let's say I'm looking at all the houses, you say like, and with a 1,000 square feet to 200 square feet, right? Is that what I'm going to tell the contractor? Because they're the one building, they're the one going to charge you, right? To like that old house. They're going to renovate the house. Don't they have to renovate the house based on square feet?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you want to, and that's why you want to understand the renovation costs before you put your offer in and before you lock down your price, because that renovation is going to dictate what you're able to buy that property for. Because hey, if it's going to be worth $120,000 and your contractor tells you, hey, you only need to put $10,000 worth of work in it, then yeah, if you get it for $50,000, it's a home run. But you could pay $70,000 and put 10 in it, sell it, and make money, and still be a pretty good deal. So that knowing that estimate of the renovation work is going to tell you kind of how aggressive you can be from a price perspective, and it's going to cap you out saying, hey, this is the max allowable offer price that I'm going to have just based off my renovation budget and me being able to make a certain amount of profit. And so
And
then you just kind of back into the numbers to see what you can offer once you know how much renovation work you have to do and you know what the after repair value is.
yeah, that's exactly what I was just getting ready to say. The ARV, you have like yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to see how all that fits, because with the ARV, don't you have to get a agent, do you have to get a real estate agent to find out the ARV?
No.
Oh.
It's just a math problem. And that's the thing. So an agent, now this will bring up a great question. An agent can give you those comps, but you can easily go on PropStream, you can go on Zillow, Redfin, and you can look and pull those comps and do it yourself. But yeah, no, an agent can definitely give you that information.
Okay. Because it's like if an agent does it, isn't it more like the real estate agent is doing? Put like this: the real estate agent, like say for instance, if let's say you didn't have those things available to you, like you just said, PropStream. Let's say a person didn't have those things, or they wasn't computer savvy or whatever. You can use that. You could use a real estate agent to do that work for you. I'm just asking. I know there's other way. I'm just asking. That's all.
Yeah. No, you can make sure that you have an investor friendly agent, because I'll tell you that some agents struggle with pulling comps. Like depending on what their motive is, that they'll bring you your house is 1,200 square foot. They may bring you a comp that's 2,000 square foot or 2,500 square feet and say, hey, this house sold for this amount. I'm like, but that's not similar. That's not apples to apples. And my property. But if you don't know that, then you'll say, oh yeah, they said that, hey, this house across the street sold for 250,000, but it's twice as bigger than yours. Your house won't sell for that amount. But if you don't know that, then uninformed agent or an agent that's just really looking on trying to get the sale, can kind of put you in a bad position.
So in other words, you have to, so you don't get caught in that, you have to really buy right.
Yeah, and know what buying right means, and kind of knowing the numbers and information. That's something that we cover, and and go through and teach, because it's all about the numbers. And I don't want people to be intimidated, because we're talking about 5th grade math. We're adding, subtracting, and we're multiplying, dividing. That's it.
Awesome.
That's it. But guess what? You just got to know how to plug in the numbers into the formula to get the answer.
And what's the formula?
I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna deep dive. We'll be here all night going through the formula. But yeah, so the formula that you have, your after repair value, is simply your comps. Your comp. So you want to know the price per square foot, and then you want to multiply that by the amount of square footage that you have for your house. And so that'll give you the after repair value. So you want to get at least 3 comps in the area. And once you get that price per square foot, you multiply that by the square footage for your home, and that'll give you the after repair value.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry I took up too much time. I just was curious.
You're good. No, that's what we're here, because I know you probably help somebody else.
Okay, awesome.
Great question. Wholesaling. Wholesaling is just the middleman. So instead of you finding that fix and flip project yourself, direct the owner or getting it off the MLS, you go to another individual that has it under contract, but they're not going to close on it and buy it. And so they may get a house under contract for $75,000, and they know that, hey, there's still some meat on the bone. This house will be worth $200,000 with about $50,000 worth of work. So guess what? They'll sell it to you for $100,000, and they'll make the $25,000 spread on the difference. And so the thing with wholesaling, they get it for deep discounts where they know they can mark up a certain amount of margin, and you can wholesale the deal. You may have a wholesaler that makes nothing, just because they just want to help the seller get rid of the house, but you can make $1,000, $2,000. I made $10,000 before wholesaling the deal in a neighborhood that I didn't want to buy in Panama City, as well in Birmingham as well too. And you've heard crazy stuff of people wholesaling an apartment complex and making $100,000. So it just depends on the deal, and being able to get really good at finding deals and finding investors that want to buy the deals. House hacking. House hacking is just simply being able to leverage the home that you live in to produce income, whether it's rent out your basement, rent out a room in your house, rent out ADU, that if you're on the West Coast, or rent out a garage. And I actually met someone at a military influencer conference last year that made $14,000 rent out their pool in San Diego for the year. So it's just looking at how you can leverage your current residence and have produce income that now offsets your expenses for the home. House hacking. Live in, then rent. Live in, then rent is your ability to live in a house for a while, then rent it out when you move instead of selling. This is how I started. I bought my first property using my VA loan, no money out of pocket, Warner Robins, Georgia. I lived in it for 3.5 years, and then I converted it to a rental property when I relocated in PCS out the area. And so then I lived in it, used my VA loan, no money out of pocket. Then I eventually rented the property. And I did that multiple times as we moved around in Newport News, in Aldi, Virginia, Panama City, Florida. As we moved around, we bought the properties, lived in them, and then rented them out. Live in, flip. So all essentially the same concept. You buy the property low, renovate it, live in it, and then you flip it. And so that's the thing that allows you. And one of the great things with this is if you live in it for at least 2 years, you don't have to pay taxes on the profit that you make, up to $250,000 for an individual or up to $500,000 if you're a married couple. And so a lot of times, I know investors that have a strategy where they'll flip a house every 2 years to get a really good deal, renovate it, live in it, then sell it and move and do it over again. And guess what? They don't have to pay any taxes on their money. And that's how you build wealth. And so with these different strategies, just figuring out what's the best strategy for you, your lifestyle, your family. Are you single? Are you married? You have kids? And just looking and taking all those things into consideration. The BRRRR model, I love the BRRRR model. Buy, remodel, you fix it up, then you rent it out, then you refinance it with the lender, and then you repeat and go off and do it again. And so this strategy here is a great way to build your rental portfolio without having a whole lot of money, because you can go in, instead of flipping the property, you get a short-term loan, do the renovations, rent it out, and then you look to refinance it with the bank, and then you just repeat, take that money. And a lot of times you can pull all your money out. Sometimes you may leave a little bit in it, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. But guess what? A lot of times if you leave a little money in the deal, that you're getting an enormous return on investment from the cash flow that you're able to get from the property by leveraging this model. Short-term buy and hold rentals, Airbnb, VRBO, or verbal properties where, you're just doing, you're in the hospitality business, you're renting by the night or by the week, or you could be doing midterm rentals, or where you're having like a month or a couple month lease for like nurses or travelers for different properties that you have. But really the big thing is, instead of having a long-term rental with a 12-month lease, now you have a short-term tenant that's in there that's looking to live in it for a short amount of time. Then you turn it over just like a hotel room and preparing it for the next renter that comes in. A lot of times that you're going to have you're going to be able to command a lot more income managing this way, but you need to be in a great area, being able to manage it and have a good system in place and a good property management company in place, because you're with the constant turnover and the different touch points that can impact your rating on these platforms, with being a super host and just everything that comes with being able to cater to individuals and making sure they have a great experience at your property. Long-term buy home rentals. This is a traditional rental where you just have a long-term tenant in place and you're looking to keep the property long-term, and you're just sitting back, you're bringing in the tax breaks with depreciation. The residence is paying down your mortgage each month, and just long-term appreciation, just slow mailbox money. And then this is kind of variation of that, where you look to focus all your cash flow to pay down one rental, then you pay that property completely off. And then now you take all the cash flow from the other rentals, and now that you don't have a mortgage on one, all the income from the monthly rent, and you take all that capital and then look to pay down the next property. And then once you pay that one off, you kind of keep the cycle going, and then just take all that until eventually you have a portfolio of properties with no mortgages, with no debt. And so this works for different people once they get to a certain point where they have enough leverage, and they may be looking to see how they can deleverage and have more cash reserves and not have as much debt on the books. And so it just kind of depends on the individual. Like, you have different seasons where you're in acquisition mode, where you're looking to bring on more and more debt. But as you become more seasoned and you're looking at where you are in life, you may look at taking some of the chips off the table, maybe looking at paying down some of the mortgages and not carrying as much debt, because you don't have to be as aggressive, because your risk profile has changed a little bit and your investment strategy has changed. And you may want to look to diversify into other streams of income as well too. And so this is one strategy where you can focus on paying off some of your rentals and just reducing your overall debt and your risk totally. And then the trade up plan is just selling a property, and then instead of taking the money and having to pay the taxes on it, you just take that money and roll it into a 1031 exchange. And that's just part of the tax code that allows you to move all this money. It goes into escrow, and then you find a property in a certain amount of time, and then you allocate these funds to get into that deal, and you don't have to pay taxes because you bought a similar property that was based off the last one. And so as long as it's another real estate property, you can move into from residential to commercial. That doesn't really matter. But the big thing is that you're taking the money, standing it aside, and then you're putting it into another deal within a certain amount of time, and you can avoid paying taxes and just continue to build wealth. And so now going into the execution, I like to tell people one deal can change your life. It's a little cliche, but I'm gonna talk about, the deals that I've done and just show you how, really one deal can change your life. And but at the same time, you got to have the confidence, you got to have the knowledge, and you got to build that momentum up that comes with it, because every great portfolio starts with a single game-changing investment, and you got to get started. For me, it was 8100 Kidd Street in Alexandria, Virginia. That was our first fix and flip property that my wife and I we took that leap of faith. For me, that I was a young captain, was really gun-ho in the military. I was all in on Air Force. I'm making this a career. And but at the same time, I didn't have that complete fulfillment when it came to everything that was going on. My wife had started staying at home with our first child. And we had picked up a couple pieces of real estate. We still had our rentals that we had lived in, kind of did the live to rent model. We had picked up a couple cheap homes in Birmingham. I was like, you know what? We can create a business around this. We see it on HGTV. I'm managing. At that time, I had over a $1 billion software development contract that I was managing for work. And I was like, you know what? I can manage a $50,000 home renovation project. It's just a different set of contractors. And we took the leap of faith and made it happen. We bid it on Genesis auction. We bought this on an auction, this property, and we dove in. It was our first property, and to this date, it's been our most extensive renovation. I think the one that we have right now with a townhouse in Panama City that has some hurricane damage that we have right now is probably going to top that one. But it didn't have a pool. It didn't have a black mold. And, this for a first project and going through, but I really, we talk about real estate being a team sport. And this is 100% evident, just because I didn't have any expertise in this. But guess what? I knew how to have the right people around me, to hire the right people. That my general contractor, she was an architect, and she knew how to put the house back together. And I leaned on her experience versus my experience that I didn't have. And the same thing with the pool. I went and found a pool contractor to come in and do those renovations. And to this day, I've never picked up a hammer. I never demoed anything, but we put people in place to be able to be successful. And guess what? Now, when you have the right professionals in your team, they're going to make you successful. That it always comes down to the team and the mission, and being able to take care of the people, having the right people in position that are going to have you, with your, in this case, mission is, having this property renovated and have it on the market or add it to my portfolio as a rental property. That's what success looks like. And so being able to put the right people in place is going to make you successful. And this kind of set the path for little did I know, for just the next 3-4 years, we're doing deals across Birmingham for the next 2 years. And then when we got to Panama City in 2017, after Hurricane Michael, flipping dozens of houses and using the bird strategy where we added properties to our rental portfolio over time. It was a lot of hard work, but it was definitely worthwhile going through that process. And speaking of process, that was like, as you're going through that, there were some fundamental things that kind of happen each and every deal over and over again. And that's kind of where I put my 4F Millionaire Blueprint together, with being able to find the right deals, being able to have the money, secure the funds that you need for the deal. And then from there, being able to renovate, get them fixed up, and then execute the game plan with the finish, whether we were going to refinance it and keep it in the portfolio, or whether or not we were going to flip it and then take the profit and then reinvest it. And so really being able to put together that 4F framework has been something that I pushed and just kind of sequestered my clients to embed it in their brain on just being able to make this simple and plain on how to execute this day in, day out for any project, and being able to bring the pieces together to be successful. And at the same time, doing all those single family properties and the years and years of doing that I found eventually I stumbled into a faster way of building wealth with real estate. And for me, it came by happenstance. In 2018, we had everything that happened with the hurricane. We were personally displaced for over 6 months, jumping around Airbnb to Airbnb while we were waiting for our home to be renovated and fixed up. And we finally moved back in March of 2019. And then we had started marketing before that happened. We had 3 properties that were damaged from the hurricane under contract, getting ready to go. And then lo and behold, one May, MPT that morning, playing basketball with some of my troops, and tore my ACL. Had surgery about 3 weeks later. Still had those 3 properties under contract, closed on them, and was on crutches for about 3 months going through that process. And we talked about, the framework with the education on how to be successful. And so one of the things that I always, had started doing a year before that was going to conferences. And so I found a multifamily conference going on in Orlando, October of that year, 2019. And when I say it changed my life, it literally changed my life and put me on a whole new trajectory and brought me into a whole new atmosphere that I didn't even knew was possible for my life. And so when I tell you all about being in the room and finding like-minded individuals and looking for growth and seeking out opportunities for growth, I'm telling you from firsthand experience. And so I went in that room and just saw individuals who had way less experience with me than real estate, that was buying apartments, bigger deals, and going through. And it was extremely motivating and encouraging. And so went back 45 days after that, got back to Panama City. I was getting ready for an appraisal on my duplex that we had just renovated, and it was sitting on a commercial lot, and the lot behind us was for sale. And so I went on the MLS on the CPAR in Panama City that we have there, and I found this 18-unit apartment complex that had been on the market for over 90 days and was listed for $1.35 million. And so I already knew, it was like, hey, take action, take action, take action. So I went, grabbed my calculator on the computer that I got from the conference, started plugging my numbers in, doing my underwriting, and I was like, hey, I know if I can buy this for $1 million, and there's no way I can screw it up. And we put the offer in at $1 million. They said the lowest that they wanted to take was 1.1. We ended up splitting the difference some weeks later and getting under contract for $1,050,000 in March of 2020. And we went through that whole entire process. And so it was 18 units, built in 1985, all 2-1s, roughly 750 square feet. And looking here at the deal, the financing deal. So we ended up financing with our local credit union, a 80% LTV, 20% down, and 4% interest rate. And so the cool thing with this that, like I tell people, that's why I love commercial real estate. You don't have to have all the money. You don't have to bring all the money to the deal. We put half of the money down, and then we ended up raising $95,000 to come in with our funds for the down payment. And so when we got the appraisal came back and said, hey, right now it's worth $1.2 million. You're buying it for we're buying it for $1,050,000. So we had $150K in equity from day one, and we put the deal together. And so what I ended up doing, I had one partner that came in that raised $75,000. And so with that, I gave him 18% equity ownership in the apartment complex. And then I had a college buddy of mine that put in $20K, and I gave him 5% ownership. And we went through, we closed, we put about $70,000 into the renovation for 4 units that were down. Up for that $70,000, $50,000 of it came from an insurance policy that we assumed the benefits from. And that's a whole process where it was just, hey, just because me going to the meetup, we started talking about education. I went to the meetup and where all the old heads got together at Big Mama's on the Bayou on Tuesday mornings in Panama City. And I learned from a real estate investing attorney that he was being able to be assigned the benefits from insurance claims for people that he was buying property from to take over to try to see if there was any remaining benefits left on the insurance policy. And so I said, hey, I told my attorney, like, hey, I want to assume the benefits for their policy. And we did it. And there was still $50,000 that was left that we could bring in to do the renovation. So we did that, got it executed. And 2 years later, we went and refinanced it, y'all. And guess what? We bought it for $1,050,000, put $70,000 in 4 units. And 2 years later, we know COVID went crazy and everything. In August of 2022, it appraised for $1.76 million. And so we were able to pull out $438,000 tax-free. We paid off that $95,000 of investors. We gave them an extra $20,000 from the equity. So they got a 34% return on their money over those 2 years. They were extremely happy. And then we had $309,000 left. And guess what? Boom, we started going to buy more apartment buildings. And so October 22, bought a 40 unit in Montgomery, Alabama, $48,000 a unit, and really, really low market rents. This property was built in 92, so it wasn't an old property. 1 bedrooms were going for around 500 and 2 bedrooms around 600, and market rent was 825, 925. And lo and behold, before we even closed on this deal, the right beside next door, another owner owned a 24, 20 unit and a 12 unit, and he wanted to sell as well too. And so the next month in November, we closed on the 12 unit with hard money, with my preferred hard money lender, that we bought this for $55,000 a door. And you can see here the rent spread, the market rents were $500. We ended up putting about $180,000 in the complex across these 12 units. For the 40 units, we allocated $270,000 for renovations for those. And with that, he owner financed 100% owner financing for this deal right here for his 24 units that he owned. That was built in 98, brick buildings, same rents, $500 and $600 for 1 and 2 bedrooms. And then we also owner financed the 20 unit right here with this one. This one was really cool because with the 20 unit, he had a minority owner in the project that was part of a fund, and they wanted to get out. They were like, hey, we don't want to do owner financing. We're trying to sunset our fund. And so what we ended up doing, we bought their $400,000 equity position out. We brought $40,000 to the table, and then the owner that owned the majority, he brought $150,000 from the closing that we had, and we ended up buying out their equity a little bit less than 50% of what the value is at. And so when we refinance here in the next couple months, that we're actually going to get $80,000 back from that $40,000 position that we ended up doubling it with the proceeds when we sell. And so this is extremely cool. And that's what I tell you guys, like you're only limited by your mind and the creativity and being able to create win-win situations for the owners that you work with these deals. And so these were off market and we put it together. And the thing that I show people is like, hey, with these total units with 96 units, by increasing the rent $100 at a 7% capitalization rate, that you're going to increase income by $115,000 annually. That alone at a 7% cap rate, you just increase the value of that building or that complex by $1.65 million. Being able to take the rents up $200, you just increased it by $3.29 million. And you can see that $300 rent increase from $600 to $900, that you increase the value almost $5 million. And so that's how you build wealth with real estate. And especially with commercial real estate, where we talked about with the fix and flips, we're finding the comps, like as when you're buying apartment buildings, you're buying a business. So you're not, they're looking at, hey, what your neighbor sold their house for. But at the end of the day, they're looking at your net operating income. They're looking at your income that you're producing from the property, but then they're also looking at the expenses and what's left over. That net operating income is what they're evaluating this business or this apartment complex, the NOI. And that's what they give you the valuation based off the cash flow that's being produced. And so this allows you a great opportunity to build wealth. And that's why I tell you, one deal can change your life. And that momentum that you build up from doing the first deal and then the second deal. And then brokers bring you other deals because they saw that you closed on these deals. And then you're in mastermind groups with other individuals that see what you're doing. And they introduce you to private equity funds that can fund your deals because they know that you're a good operator and you know what you're doing. So they have more, there's plenty of money out here and people just pouring over you with money and giving you opportunities to take their funds and go, because guess what? They got to get a return. They're investors too, and they're trying to get a return on their money. And so they have to invest in these good projects that you find as an operator. And so the thing is that everybody's everybody's real estate investing journey is going to be unique. Everybody has their own goals, their challenges, and opportunities that we deal with. And so the thing is, like, you have to go through and figure out what works best for you. And, you know, I look back, I'm like, man, I found this in 2020. It's like, what if I knew about apartment buildings and I didn't have the limiting beliefs that I couldn't do it back in 08 or 09, 2010? You know, if I had got past, you know, saying, oh, I had to have $1 million cash in the bank, or I couldn't afford to buy apartments. If I didn't have that mind, those limiting beliefs holding me back, where could I be at today? And so we all can play the what if game. But the thing is, you know, the best time to buy real estate was probably 30 years ago, 20 years ago. The next best time is today, buying it today and getting started. And we talked about it, education without execution, getting the information, but if you don't use it and do anything with it, then it's just entertainment. And the thing is, like, you can do it too. And I'm gonna just show you a couple of highlights as we get ready to wrap up. My man Joseph up in Indianapolis, he's a active duty Navy recruiter, and he's bought an Airbnb there, done a fix and flip, where his neighbor down the street from him was his private lender. They actually, he got the money from him for the down payment and put the deal together. Chandria Poole, down in ATL, that she's bought multiple rental properties, bought a duplex using her self-directed IRA account where she rolled over retirement funds from previous employers and used it, because like a lot of people don't even know, there's banks out here that will lend money to your retirement account for you to do deals with. Like, a lot of people say, hey, I don't have money. But if you have a retirement account, then you have access to capital that you can do deals and invest in deals with. And so the thing is just getting the right strategy, talking with the right people in order to putting it together. Henry Scott, active Army Reserve down in Augusta, Georgia, doing multiple fix and flips there in the multifamily space as well, and just continue to crush it, as well as raising private money for deals as well too, that he's able to put it together. Jahil, I was with Jahil down in Atlanta at the Military Influencer Conference back in September. Phenomenal story. Him and his wife, Natalie, they bought a 4-unit for $1.15 million, zero money down, out of pocket, using their VA loan in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was new construction, less than a year old, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, granite countertops, vinyl plank floors, 1-car garages with each unit. They're living in one unit and producing over $6,000 a month in rent from the other 3 units. And they have enough land where they can build 6 more units on it. And all they paid out of pocket was $10,000 for their closing costs. Dr. Joe, physician down in Montgomery, Alabama, raising money, doing subject to deals, helping people get out of pre-foreclosure. And the list goes on and on. And the thing is, like, you just got to get out of your own way, figure out how can you start taking action based on your skill set and what it is that you want to build with your portfolio, and just start doing it like all these other people are doing. We're rolling, raising $50K for deals. Talked about Henry with his stuff that he ended up raising $90,000 in 15 minutes from just having a conversation with an investor that he shared with, put his package together and showed how it was a win-win. Because there's so many people that have money. I have the conversations all the time. It's like, man, I'm getting like 2% return on my money, or my money's just sitting in my savings account and I'm getting less than 1%. And when you have a conversation showing somebody like, hey, you can get 10% return on your money, invest in this project, it's backed by real estate, we got an insurance policy on the title, we got an insurance policy for damage, you got it recorded if something happens, that, hey, you're able to foreclose and take the property back. That was a great deal already from day one. And so now it's just being able to communicate how it's a win-win for everyone involved and being able to execute the strategy. And so the thing is, like, for a lot of people, that number one, you got to make that mental transition. So how many people have kind of made that mental transition from I can't to can I? Not talking about real estate, totally kind of pivoted on you guys, but how many people out here know you can do anything that you put your mind to? Anybody had that transformation yet? You know, and it's okay if you haven't, that you just admit to yourself that say, hey, I haven't. But the thing is, like, you have to make that mental transition and understand that there's nothing that you can't do. Because guess what? If you tell yourself you can do it, you're right. And if you tell yourself that you can't do it, you're still right. And so the thing is, you have to be able to make that mental transition. And then the second piece is, if you knew that you couldn't fail right now, you knew if you started doing something you couldn't fail, what would you attempt to do? And that's a personal question. You don't have to answer it out loud, but ask yourself, if it was something that you knew you couldn't fail at, what would you do? And whatever it is, you probably should be doing that thing. And then the last question I wanted to pose, if finances were not an issue, what would I like to do? What would you like to do? How would you want to spend your time? What would you want to invest your time in? And so these are some things kind of as we pivot to when I start talking about my Millionaire Blueprint, that it's not all about money and the success with wealth, because I would argue that wealth isn't always tied to money, because a lot of the things, the most important things in life are free. When you start talking about love, relationships, time freedom, being able to have a positive mindset. The thing is, like, we put so much value on things that cost money, materialistic things that don't even matter. And we shun wisdom, the opportunities to spend time with our kids and family, the things that are free, having love and positive relationship, health, that we don't have an emphasis for the things that really make our life more and more beneficial to others, but then also the blessing to ourselves, that it's all free. But we stress out over the materialistic stuff and to get the money and then to have it and then realize that you lost everything else that really mattered in life. And so that's the thing when we start talking about the Millionaire Wealth Blueprint, that is not just focused on money and building wealth through real estate, but it's really focused on the journey and the transformation mentally to have the mindset and the wisdom to be a good steward of everything that you're blessed with at a materialistic level. So with that, we want to kind of transition. And then for those that know, I'm kicking off my next cohort at the beginning of December. It's 8 weeks. We're setting up that strategic growth plan. It's based off of John Maxwell's 15 irrevocable laws of growth, and really focus on setting this growth plan. I love the fourth quarter of the year because it's the time to position myself for 2025 for the next year and going through. And so we're going on this journey together for those that are looking to have that strategic growth. We're building the foundation, developing those personal disciplines, building the growth relationships, and then showing you how you can reach your full potential and beyond. And so kind of going through the first 4 weeks are really going to be focused on those growth strategies. But then following that, also giving you guys my REI Accelerator, talking about my Fine Finance Fix Finish system, everything that's included with that. We're being able to show you all how you can leverage real estate to serve you and build that time freedom. But then also the expert workshops with coming up, we're having the accredited investor training. We're showing you how to be an astute investor, how to invest, the estate planning tips, wealth management. With being able, my guy Dennis is coming in. He's actually going to be in person for our Leesburg in-person event November 21st. But he's a financial advisor with Edward Jones, so he's coming in and talking. And so that's one of the things that we're going to have to kind of help you all kind of formulate your strategy where you're diversified. It's not all real estate, that you got to have some exposure with alternative investments, stocks, bonds, looking at the index funds and making sure you have a holistic plan. Self-directed IRAs, I talked about Chandria Poole and what she's doing with her self-directed IRA. And we have a couple different custodians that's going to come in and give you some trainings and show you how you can leverage your retirement funds to diversify and invest in real estate, as well as my CPA, Larry, who's a phenomenal investor when we start talking about real estate syndications, joint ventures on the multifamily side, bonus depreciation, being a real estate professional where you can take depreciation and wipe out your active income from your day job. Like, he's a ninja when it comes to taxes, and phenomenal with being able to put that together. So really exposing you to all those individuals that you need on your team in order to build wealth, where you have that holistic view, as well as the estate planning with the estate planning attorney, with showing you how you bring all that together with it. And at the same time, giving you guys unlimited deal desk support, where you underwrite deals. When we're talking with Veronica about, hey, how do you underwrite the deal? And once you learn how to underwrite the deal, but now bringing it to the table with my team, with Faye, myself, and being able to look at the deals and say, hey, yep, you're paying the right price. This is the right offer price, or maybe you should reconsider this, or did you think about that? Where now you're not offering too much, where you're not overpaying for a property, or you're not underbidding your renovation costs. And so giving you that support when you're making deals, where you have that confidence in the offers that you're making, access to the document library. I got tons of marketing materials, checklists, the templates, letters of intents, contracts, the operating agreements, to put the deals together, and everything that goes through with how to put partnerships together, how to raise private money. Speaking of private money, creative financing, which teaches you guys how we build these deals, how we communicate, how do we negotiate, how do you get a 24 unit building for 100% owner financing? How do you even negotiate, even start to have that conversation? So really making sure you guys have those tools and resources, because at the end of the day, you got to have the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set to be successful at anything. And that's what this is geared up to give you. We're going to have those live weekly calls with myself, as well as my director of operations, Faye, that we're going to have multiple touch points throughout the week to help you guys during the 8 weeks for the cohort. And then you got access to me with all this and the wealth of information, my experience, and everybody else on my team and my wealth building team. When I start talking about financial advisors, CPAs, estate planning attorneys, everything that you need to build wealth, to bring all that together. And the thing with it, that it's all about, we're in the people business and helping people change their lives through real estate. And just some of the reviews, and you can go on the website and check that out, that with what we're doing, and that we're serious about when it comes to real estate and being able to give you the tools for success when it comes across the board with every facet of real estate. When you're talking about the deal acquisition, the financing, raising money, putting it all together, managing the contractors, and just the asset management, when you got everything that you need, and the list goes on and on. And so that's everything that I wanted to kind of give you guys tonight. I want to save some time to answer questions, but at the end of the day, we're talking about real estate, but it's all about being able to build wealth. It's about being able to, at the end of these 8 weeks, is to give you that self-awareness, that enhanced discipline, improve mindset and confidence in everything that you're doing, and then being able to help you build your capacity for growth. And then doing it in a setting with like-minded individuals where you continue to grow your network, you're having access to other professionals and everything that you need as you go along on this wealth building journey. And so if you guys are interested, then definitely just book the consultation call. We'll love, myself and Coach Jessica would love to have a conversation with you all to kind of understand what it is that you're trying to build as we get ready to position ourselves for 2025, and then just making sure you're a good fit for the program. And we're getting ready to kick this thing off 1 December, that first week. And then for those that go ahead and sign up now, we're going to have a couple of bonus weeks through November that we're going to have with some other sessions that are going to kind of be strategic in nature with getting you guys positioned, and then probably give you guys some exposure with my inner circle that focuses on the multifamily acquisition. So with that, I'll open up for questions, but I definitely encourage you guys, book your consultation call here over the next week. And we would love to help you if you're serious about building wealth and you're serious about positioning yourself for long-term growth. Then we would love to go on that journey with you. With that, any questions? I know that was a lot. We went over a little bit. I played for an hour and a half, so that's not bad. That's not bad. Larry, did I answer those questions that you had? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Unmute. Yes. Can you hear me now? Okay.
We can.
Yeah, she totally answered a lot of the questions that I had. I still do have a couple of questions about financing. I have myself over the years have built a good team up. I've got a good real estate agent. She's really good at finding like deals and coming up with comps and things of that nature that helps me with finding like making good offers and stuff, you know what I'm saying, like good offers and things of that nature. I have a good like a contractor who's local, and so I've built up a team to like be successful when I find deals. The problem I'm having is finding the funding. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for more partners than loans and banks and things of that nature, because like you said earlier, the money is a little bit cheaper, you know what I'm saying, and there's less like criteria to qualify for it, you know what I'm saying. It's more based on, can the money, is there money to be made on it, you know what I'm saying, and and it being a safe investment that gives you a pretty good return. I belong to LinkedIn, so I run into a lot of people who are advertising being investors and things of that nature. But a lot of them seem to be brokers, you know what I'm saying, and have lenders. So
Yes.
I'm trying to see how to like get in contact with people who are willing to joint venture. Me bringing the things that I know and being the boots on the ground. I'm in a market in Athens, Georgia, a
Okay.
really big rental market because of the University of Georgia's here, and they cater to the students big time here.
Right.
And but I try to focus on more of the blue collar workers. I'm saying providing affordable housing for them. So I
Okay.
sacrifice a little bit on the rental. I mean, I provide like lower rent so they can survive, because you know the students can afford like one bedroom, one bathroom, $2,000 a month, but
Right.
the blue collar worker, and their family are just trying to make it. So and it's overlooked. It's a market that's I feel like it's kind of overlooked. So there's lots of people who are you know looking for places to live for affordability, and it just seems like a lot of the bottom line for banks and stuff is like the money, what I'm saying, which I feel like
Yep.
it is, but at the same time, it's the people. What I'm
Yep.
saying, like helping people out when you're supposed to. So that's all I'm, basically looking for is someone who wants to partner with me, who wants, safe, but in a good return, but at the same time, not so many rigorous, criterias on, getting the money. You know what I'm saying? But of
Yeah.
course, I want them to feel confident in, investing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them, just to willy nilly and be like, oh, here's some money, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to present them and show them that I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a while. I know the market in Athens. I went to University of Georgia, studied economics, left for 10 years, came back, and
Okay.
now I'm in the market really seriously. You know what I'm saying? So did a
Okay.
flip.
So for me, kind of thinking through, so how often do you share that story or the stories of what you're doing with the real estate investing and providing the affordable housing? Do you share that on your LinkedIn profile?
I don't share it on my LinkedIn, but when I do reach out to people, I have had like very extensive conversations with them, telling them, how I started, in the real estate industry. You know what I'm saying? I went to I applied for a grant, got, $2,500, put it down on two duplex properties in the area, convinced
Mhm.
the seller to owner finance for 12 months. A month later, same seller got another duplex. And then a year later, I refinanced it. And you know what I'm saying? So I do share it, but I don't put it on my LinkedIn, you know what I'm saying? Which I probably should. But you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Hey, hey, you gotta go into the phone booth like Superman. You gotta go in there as Clark Kent and you gotta come out with your real estate S on your chest. You gotta,
right.
and that's one of the things. I'm a humble dude, and like it was really uncomfortable, especially being military too, because just the nature of my work that we're really big on being silent professionals. And the thing with it is that you got to put yourself out there, and you got to tell a story. You got a phenomenal story, just for the just clearly you're passionate about the community and being able to provide the affordable housing. But if you're not putting that out there, and nobody will know that. And so the thing is, because now you're sharing that story on LinkedIn and they see you as the real estate investor, then now you're going to draw the people in that you want to be around you. You're going to attract them. And so that's the thing that I would encourage you. You got to tell that story. And just you got to be your biggest advocate, and that's going to bring in different lenders that are real lenders, but then also private investors as well too, and just letting people know that you have the opportunities that they can invest in. And the biggest transformation that I had from a raising capital's perspective was not thinking that I'm begging people for money. And
Right.
when I realized that, hey, I'm giving these people an opportunity to invest with me. This is an opportunity that they would never have without me, because they're great at their job and making money, but they don't have the time or the ability to find the deals that you can find. And so they would never have an opportunity to invest in real estate and make 10% return on their money versus, just putting it in the bank and just getting less than 2% or whatever it is. So I think the big thing is just the branding and letting have it where everybody sees you as the real estate investor and not, maybe your job title. And so that's the biggest thing. If I can give any advice, would be to embrace the real estate investing journey and sharing all the great things that you're doing, and you're going to attract the right people. And you'll position yourself in good shape. But you want everybody to understand. You want them to first see you as a real estate investor.
Oh, okay, cool. I accidentally hit the wrong button and it went. Let me close that so I can see you. Okay, cool. All right. Cool. I appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? Like, and thank you for inviting me to this a webinar, because, sometimes it gets a little frustrating, you know what I'm saying, but I know, I can do, like you said, I can do anything I put my mind to. I just, just need a little, a couple more pieces to the puzzle.
Yep.
And then I'll be unstoppable. So I really appreciate this opportunity to learn and communicate and all the above.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man, for sure, for sure. You're right there where you need to be. Anybody else? I told you guys, don't leave here with questions. You got me for another 15, 20 minutes.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, how's it going, Steven?
No, that wasn't me. That was somebody else.
Oh, I'm sorry. You turned green. Who was that? I'm sorry.
That was Neil.
Oh,
Neil.
yeah.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, Neil?
Hey, Johnny. Yes, sir. I'm driving, so you probably can't see me anyways, but check this out. I don't know. I really appreciate your story going down in 2019 to Orlando, because I don't know. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It's raining out.
Yeah. We got you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm actually driving down to Orlando myself right this second, and I know it's going to be a life-changing weekend. And I'm super pumped, and I've been wanting to go to this thing. And I've attended one or two virtual events with this crew, but now I'm actually physically going in person. So I'm really pumped, really excited. I've talked to a few of these guys, handful of them, and so just looking forward to meet them in person and stepping my game up and hit the ground running and try to get some stuff locked up here. 2025 is going to be a massive year, so just looking forward to it, and appreciate you sharing your story, and I know my life's going to be just flipped in the right direction. So I'm really appreciate you inviting me on this evening. And I'm jealous of your officer and 1 year left to retire, because that's 3 years before me. But it's all good.
It's all good. Hey, you're right there.
And you're younger than me. And you're younger than me. That's really sad. So.
It's all right. Good.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy that conference and definitely make the best out of it. And I want to hit a report, kind of the top 3 coming from what you took away and the actions you're taking going into it. This is a great time. Like, this is the end of the year, really closing out on goals for 24 and sitting down and writing out where you want to be in 25 and position yourself for success. So, no, man, good on you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I will for sure get back with you, for sure. Thank you.
What's up? Oh, Christian Count, what's going on? Is that flossing? Blast from the past.
Yes, sir. Definitely a blast from the past from Warner Robins, where you started, man.
Let's go.
Man, to see how you've taken off is amazing. So you'll definitely be hearing from me, sir. You'll definitely be here.
Let's go, man. Most definitely, man. I got to hit you up next time I'm down in Houston too.
Yes, sir. Please do. You know my number never changes.
Okay.
And it's about my time to retire also. So,
nice. Yeah, man. We getting on up there.
Oh yeah. We're the old guys now.
For sure, bro. Awesome, man. Awesome seeing you.
But yes, I won't take up no time. I'm gonna go ahead and schedule my consultation. Hey, awesome message, great information.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right, sir.
For
See you
sure.
soon. Talk to you soon.
Cool, cool. Yep. Anybody else? Any questions? Anybody information? Or if not, I thank everybody for coming out tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do these at least once a month with the webinars and just bringing information. And hey, if you know anybody that can benefit. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Johnny, I just have one question for you, and I guess everyone has this question too, is that what was the hardest part getting started?
Ooh, the hardest part it was the faith. It was just getting started, taking action. And like I say, a lot of the stuff that I say in the frameworks and the messaging and everything, it's because I lived it and and went through it. But until your drive to be successful becomes greater than the fear that's holding you back, you're not gonna move. You're gonna keep reading the books, you're gonna keep watching YouTube, you're gonna stay where you're at until you get comfortable being uncomfortable and say, the hell with it, I know I can do this, and moving out until that why and why you want to be successful and why you want to do it, until that gets bigger than the fear, you're never gonna move. And so that was the thing for me, is like once I got to that point where I made my mind up, like, hey, we doing this, and come hell or high water, we're gonna be successful. That's when took action, and I'm a true believer when you start moving out, because people don't realize like faith is an action word. And when you start reading the scripture, and he's talking about I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He didn't say he stopped in the valley. He said he's walking, he's moving, he's keeping through and going through. And the thing is, like, you can drive across country at night just looking 50 feet in front of you at a time with your headlights. As far as you can see, it's pitch black everywhere else, but you can still drive all the way across country at night. And it's the same thing with our investing journey or whatever we're doing with our relationships. That the thing is that you just got to start moving and start walking, and guess what? And have faith that there's not a huge hole out here in front of you on I-95 that you're going to drive off in. That just having faith that somebody with those tail lights up in front of you, they just came through here and they were okay. And it's like, hey, I'm probably going to be okay too, and I'm going to figure it out. I may get a flat tire, I may have a check engine light come on, but guess what? I know somebody. I can call a tow truck. I can call a friend. I can call, stop and pull over and go into the mechanic shop, get a tune up and take a time out, and get back on the road and keep making progress to where my destination is. So just got to get started. That's it. Everybody has the fear. And then the ones that's successful, they came at some point, the success and the allure of success and the goals they had became bigger than the fear. And once that happens, you're on that journey.
What was your turning point?
For me, the turning point was really going into multifamily. Like, we had found success, had got comfortable on the single family side. We were doing the deals. We had the team in place. I was still active duty the whole entire time. Everything that I've done over my career, I've been active duty the entire time. And so I've learned how to put people in position to be successful and step back and just really be the CEO and really just be the strategy guy, which there's stuff you have to do with running the business behind the scenes. But I never picked up a hammer. I never demoed anything. I just find the deal. I get really good at the acquisition, find the deals, and then hand it off to the realtor to set everything up, the title company to get it closed, the lender to get everything done, to close on the loan and everything, and then hand it off to the contractors and just manage progress. And so it's a system, it's a framework to do it, but it's doable. And the big thing is just don't get comfortable. When you get comfortable, be like, okay, I need to be growing and continuously growing. And so for me, is once I got that first multifamily, that stretched me, and then now, doing even bigger deals and building up the portfolio, and now to the point where it's like, hey, I want to step into the private equity space and start raising capital for a fund and start investing in other people's multifamily deals, and just being the fund manager and spend more time with my family. And so it's just a journey, and it's been a heck of a journey with challenges, but it's been fun and rewarding at the same time. And yeah. No, great questions, Faye. And so Faye's my director of operation for those that don't know her. She's the part of my team that helps keep everything together and keeps REI Genius running.
I have a question.
Oh, there's Natasha.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. I was wondering about like private funding. Is that something, how does that work? Do you just go ask someone? Like, how do you do that?
No, great question. So like the private fund, it's kind of like the conversation that Larry and I had, that it really comes down to presenting yourself as the operator, the investor, and everything that you're doing, where you're informing individuals, so they understand you, they see you. And so, because the thing is, people in your network that's in your circle, when somebody says, "Hey, do you know a real estate investor?" your name should be the first person that comes to their mind. And if that's not the case, then you need to be getting your message out there and sharing more with what you're doing. If that's not the case, when you start talking about your friends and family and associates. But the private individuals, people invest money with people that they know, like, and trust. I had people invest in deals that I never met in life, that's invested six figures in, the 40 unit apartment complex, that deal, and other deals on the single family side were raising money. We're like, "Hey, so and so said you got a deal. I just, got money back from my last deal, and I got to reinvest it in something else and seeing if you got something." But it comes from just, people understanding and knowing you, and they know, like, and trust you. And so that's, with anything that I can tell you, is just get the skill set and share and let people know what it is that you're doing. And it's easier said than done. But now you look at it, social media is free branding, it's free marketing. And I grew up in a household where it's like, "Hey, we don't tell the left hand what the right hand's doing, and you keep stuff close hold and things like that." But the times have changed, and that was something I had to grow into. So with that, like, the private investors are out there, but people got to know, like, and trust you, and know you as a real estate investor, know that their money is safe with you, with that. And that comes from you getting experience and being able to share your experience. So that translates over to them having that confidence in you. So does that make sense?
Yes, and then you're saying that you have to reach out to people in your network, and the more
Mm-hmm.
skill you have in real estate investing, the more they'll probably help, like something like that.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of times for me, I didn't have a lot of people with a high net worth in my network. And so a lot of times I had to pay to get in rooms. One that I'm learning, but now I'm around other people that have a lot more capital, that have great jobs. And so you just got to seek those people out, whether it's joining a country club, whether it's going to meetups in your local area, or if it's going to different conferences and seminars, and just getting out there and finding these people, because they're out there. There's plenty of wealthy people out here. Now it's just a matter of you aligning with the right people, getting in the right rooms and circles, and getting. But it's sometimes it causes you, and it will require you to change your environment, and that's okay. And that's the thing that you have to realize, that you got to make sure you're in the right environment, to be doing what it is that you want to do. When you're saying that you're committed to being a real estate investor. Great
Okay,
question.
thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Nothing. Don't leave here without your question answered. Cool. Well, yeah. Well, you guys know, you all know.
We'll probably wait for the one-on-one sessions with them.
Yep. Definitely book your consultation call. Would love to have the conversations with you, specifically what you have going on, and just seeing how we can add value to what you're doing and hopefully accelerate your journey. So you all know how to reach out to me. I appreciate for you guys taking the time to be here tonight, and and go take action, and let's go. So super excited with everything going on. Y'all be blessed.
Appreciate it, Johnny, man. You have a great day, man. I appreciate it, really.
You too, Larry. Thanks for coming out, bro. All right, everybody. Jose.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, Samuel. All right, everybody.